Welcome to the Vikings Now. I am your host, Patrick Seatman. Tons of interesting stuff we're going to be talking about today. Signing Odell Beckham, signing Sidney Jones, and I'm going to be kind of explaining myself as why I am now starting to be convinced that the Vikings are going to make a move at one of these two free agents. Brian O'Neill restructured his contract today, freeing up more cap space on this year's cap. I'll be diving into that a little later. But I am very excited to announce that we are going to be having our first ever Minnesota Vikings watch party for the game tomorrow. It's going to be a ton of fun. We'll be live 30 minutes before the game. It's just going to be me hanging out, watching the game with you guys. I think it's going to be a great time to have a bunch of Vikings fans getting in the chat, getting rowdy, and just kind of creating this great Vikings community that I know is out there. So if you are going to be there, I want you guys to let me know. Type me down below. Super simple. If you're going to be tuning in, I'll be live at around 11:30 Central Time for the game. Kirk's revenge game. Vikings could be going to 7-1 leading up to the Buffalo Bills game. I can't wait to get into it. So just type me down below if you will be there. So now, why do I think the Vikings could be going after OBJ or Sidney Jones? So Brian O'Neill today, kind of an under-the-radar kind of Vikings news tidbit, he converted $1.8 million of his base salary into a signing bonus, which just created $1.5 million in cap space per league source from Tom Pelissero. Minnesota was tight on cap, and now they have some flexibility. I think this opens the Vikings, if I can do my math, to about 2.2, 1.5, so they're about 3.7 now in 3.7 million in just this year's cap. Listen, if OBJ would want to come here and sign maybe a 2-year, $10 million deal, now I think we have that flexibility. When we were originally at 2.2 million just in cap, the OBJ stuff kind of seemed not unlikely, but it would take a lot to convince him to come here considering the discount. But if I'm looking at kind of from OBJ's perspective, you're Odell Beckham Jr. What do you want? You want to play for a contender. Vikings are one. You want to play next to a great receiver for you're not getting all the double coverage, all the main looks. You have Justin Jefferson. And I think OBJ, I think he wants to just be familiar with the coaching staff and players. I think he had a really strong connection with Kevin O'Connell last year in Los Angeles. Obviously winning a Super Bowl together, Kevin O'Connell kind of creating the offense, obviously with Sean McVay in there. But I do think OBJ, he values that. I understand, moving to Minnesota, I'll be shocked to see Odell Beckham sign up for the rest of the year in Minnesota. But if he thinks he can go win a championship, very similar situation as what he was in last year, doesn't need to be the number one. Doesn't even need to be the number two now with TJ Hawkinson, Thielen, Osborne. I mean, could you imagine if the Vikings, that 11 personnel, which is one running back, 3 receivers, and a tight end, if they're running out Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Odell Beckham Jr., and TJ Hawkinson with Dalvin Cook in the backfield? I think that would be pretty interesting. And I want to kind of take this second. If you guys aren't subscribed, we're closing in on 7,000 subs. You look down there, it should say like about 6.82K. You want to make me look good? You want to make this Vikings channel look good? Just go down, hit it really quick, hit that subscribe button, that big red button down there. It helps me way more than you think. And then, hey, if you are tuning in for the watch party, you hit subscribe, you'll get that notification right away. So go down, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out, guys. I know we ask for it a lot, but it really does help. It goes a long way, gets this video out to more Vikings fans, and we're just growing this great community we have. Now, the corner, Sidney Jones. This is the more realistic one. Sidney Jones was cut from the Seattle Seahawks this past week during the NFL trade deadline, and he's kind of been thrown around in some trade rumors, and now he's just going to be a free agent. He's going to be tied into those rumors. I think he's interesting. I think he's a guy the Vikings are really – I guarantee you Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell, they're looking at this guy pretty seriously. Obviously, Kevin O'Connell knows a little bit about him coming from the NFC West, but like I said, the Vikings now at $3.7 million in cap space this year. You're telling me Sidney Jones, you don't just throw him a 1-year, $3 million deal, say, hey, come be our CB3 for us. Come be that kind of guy in the slot maybe next to Cam Dantzler and Patrick Peterson, and just adding more depth. Because I do think, and obviously knock on whatever, I don't have wood near me, but knock on whatever you may be, if the Vikings were to get an injury in the secondary, this group would be pretty depleted. So I do think if they're going to make a move, I would personally go after Sidney Jones. I know the Odell would be the more kind of splash hit, kind of that big-time free agent name, but I would go lean towards Sidney Jones. But I want to ask you guys, I'm going to make this the pinned comment on today's video. If you had to pick a free agent, fantasy land, you're Kwesi Adolfo-Mensa, you got both those guys, OBJ and Sidney Jones, says, I want to come to the Vikings, but you got to pick one of us. Let me know who you would pick, OBJ or Sidney Jones. It's kind of that, if you want to add OBJ and just make us better in a spot we're already better at, I'm not going to blame you. It's Odell freaking Beckham. Or do you want to kind of go for the more under-the-radar guy, not the more talented player by any means, but go Sidney Jones, adding some depth in the secondary. I think it's pretty interesting. But I want to finalize or kind of round out this video by talking about some injury news, because the final report for the game tomorrow came out, and there's some unfortunate news for the Vikings. Dalvin Tomlinson, he's been great this year. He's ruled out with a calf injury. And then Jalen Nailor and Cameron Dantzler are both questionable as of right now. I think Cameron Dantzler, that's the one where I'm really looking at, and I really hope he can get out there and play tomorrow. Because listen, this is a trap game. This is a trap game written all over. We're traveling. We got Buffalo next week. We're going into Washington. This is a game we expect to win, expect to dominate, frankly. Vegas has this at a 3-point spread. If you lose a guy like Dalvin Tomlinson, lose a guy like Cameron Dantzler, just makes your margin of error, pretty slim. But I do think Patrick Peterson will be matched up on Terry McLaurin most of the night, and he's been great this year. But I do just think if you lose Cameron Dantzler, you're going to need guys like a Caleb Evans, maybe Andrew Booth Jr. This will be maybe his breakout game where us Vikings fans finally start noticing him. So that's the injury report on the Vikings side. Tomlinson is ruled out. That's unfortunate. And then Jalen Nailor and Cameron Dantzler. Jalen Nailor has been great on special teams this year. They are both questionable for the game on Sunday, which is tomorrow. And then Commanders, they got, 3 bigger names ruled out. Jahan Dotson, the rookie wide receiver, he's ruled out. He's been out the past couple weeks. And then their star kind of scat back, their kind of change of pace back, the third down pass catching back, J.D. McKissic, he's ruled out as well. I always think those type of running backs just kill the Vikings. I don't know what it is. I have no real no stats to kind of back that up. But J.D. McKissic, those little scat backs, I swear they always kill the Vikes. And then David Mayo, he was ruled out as well. So I think this is going to be a great game. Injuries on both sides for both teams. If I had to give my score prediction right now for this game on Sunday, maybe it's my optimistic fandom coming into me, but I think this is going to be a prove-it game for the Vikes. We haven't really blown a team out the water, and I think if you're going into a team's building, rallying around Kirk Cousins, this being his first game back in Washington since coming over to the Vikes, I think if you go out there, send a message to not just the fans, the league, but send a message to your quarterback that, man, we got your back. We're going to war with you every single day. We're going to come into your old building, and we're going to embarrass them. I think the Vikings are going to win 31-10. That's my final score prediction for tomorrow. I was kind of thinking trap game early on in the week, but, man, if you compare the 53-man rosters of the Vikings to the Commanders, the Vikings should win this game. And that doesn't always guarantee you a win, but I do think the Vikings have a really strong chance. Hey, if you guys are tuning in to the watch party tomorrow, type me down below. And if you're not, hit that subscribe button. Love hearing from you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's great talking football with you guys every single day. Love my job. Love chatting up with you guys. Let's go Vikes. See you tomorrow.